Today we're going to talk about how to subtract integers part 2. How do you know that negative 5 minus negative 3 is equal to negative 2? In this number routine, the answer is negative 2. But I want you to prove to me that it is negative 2. I'm going to do it both ways. I'm going to use the subtraction of integers rule. And then I'm going to also use modeling. So first of all, I'm going to use the modeling. I have negative 5. Whoops. I have 5 negatives. I need to take away 3 of the negatives. So I take away this, I take away this, and this. The answer is negative 2. Some of you may say, I prefer another way. Fine, let's use adding the opposite. Yesterday we talked, in our previous lesson, we talked about adding the opposite. So I keep the negative 5. See, I kept these negative 5. I added the opposite. What's the opposite of negative 3? 3. So what is negative 5 plus 3? I have more negatives by 2. So they both came up with the same answer. Negative 5 minus negative 3 is equivalent of saying negative 5 plus 3. So I kept the first number. I added, so I flipped the subtraction to it adding, and then I changed the negative 3 to the opposite, which was 3, which is 3. So let's try another example. Please model negative 4 minus 5. I have 4 negatives. 1, 2, 4 negatives. I need to take away 5 positives. Do I have enough to take away? No, I need to add 0 pairs to this. 1 set of 0 pair, 2 sets of 0 pairs, 4 sets of 0 pairs, and my 5th set of 0 pairs. So now it says I've started with negative 4. I need to take away 5 positives. So I take away these 5 positives. And what am I left with? I added 5 more negatives. So it seemed like the answer is negative 9. What if you do not want to model it? I started with negative 4. As you can tell, I added 5 negatives. And that equals negative 9. Using add the opposite, I kept negative 4 alone. I added, turned a subtraction to it, adding. And what's the opposite of 5? Negative 5. So negative 4 plus negative 5 is equal to negative 9. Alright, so we are going to learn how to use number lines. So let's get me my pen. I'll use green. So as you can tell, what's 5 minus 2? 5 minus 2 is equivalent as saying 5 plus negative 2. So I kept the 5. I added, and what's the opposite of 2? Negative 2. So same thing as saying 5 plus negative 2. So how can I model this? So you start at 0. I go to 5 units to the right. Minus 2 meaning I need to go back 2 units. So the answer is 3. 5 minus 2 is the same as saying 5 plus negative 2. So I go to 5. I go 2 units to the left. 5 plus negative 2 equals 3, or 5 minus 2 equals 3. Let's try another number line. I have negative 3. So I start at 0. I go to negative 3. It says I need to minus negative 4. Do you remember when we did absolute value, when you see a negative sign in front of the absolute value bar, what did that mean? Like, for example, negative 3. What's the absolute value of 3? How far is 3 from 0 in the number line? 3. This means the opposite of. So saying, what is the opposite of negative 4? 4 units. So I go 1, negative 3. I go 4 units to the right. 1, 2, 3, 4. So where did I stop at? 1. Could I have gotten this using adding the opposite? I start with negative 3. I turn to subtracting to adding. And what's the opposite of negative 4? 4. Negative 3 plus 4 is 1. So the same thing. Some kids prefer the counters. Some kids may prefer the number line. Again, I start at 0. I go 3 units to the left. Opposite of negative 4. What's the opposite of negative 4? Because I need to subtract, which is the opposite of negative 4 is positive 4. So let's see. Start at 0. I go 3 units to the right. Minus negative 5. I need to take away negative 5. What's the opposite of negative 5? 5. So I must go 5 units to the right. And I stop at 8. So, how can I rewrite this using additive expression? I kept the 3. I turned the subtraction to an adding. And what's the opposite of negative 5? 5. So, 3 minus negative 5 is the same or equivalent as 3 plus 5. So we have negative 4 minus negative 4 minus 1. So I start at 0. I go 4 units to the left to negative 4. And it says subtract 1. I need to take away 1. So I need to go 1 unit to the left. So I'm at negative 5. What if I prefer to rewrite the subtraction expression as an additive expression? I keep the negative 4. I add, what's the opposite of 1? Negative 1. Negative 4 plus negative 1 is negative 5. So the subtraction expression is equivalent to this additive expression. Negative 5 minus 2. Starting at 0, I go 5 units to the left to negative 5. I need to subtract, I need to 2. So I need to go back 2. 1, 2. So I stop at negative 7. How can I rewrite the subtraction expression as an adding expression? I'm at negative 5. Keep it. I add it. What's opposite of 2? Negative 2. Negative 5 plus negative 2 is negative 7. And last example, I start at 0. Negative 5 minus 5. I go 5 units to the left, minus 5. I need to go back 5. Whoops. I go back to negative 10. How can I rewrite this as an additive expression? I keep it, add it. Opposite of 5 is negative 5. And what is negative 5 plus negative 5? I add 5 negatives to more negatives, 10 negatives. Oh, here's our last example. Starting at 0, I go to 7 negatives. I go left, 7 units to the left. I need to subtract negative 2. What's the opposite of negative 2? 2 positives. So I am at negative 5. How can I rewrite this as an additive expression to check my work? Keep negative 7, add it. Opposite negative 2 is 2. And what is negative 7 plus 2 equivalent to? Negative 5. So for these problems, can you sketch a number line? So I'm starting at 0. I go to negative 2. Minus 6. I go back 6 spaces. So that's negative 8. This could be rewritten. How can I rewrite this as an additive expression? I keep the negative 2. I add. Opposite of 6 is negative 6. So negative 2 minus 6 is equivalent to negative 2 plus negative 6. So 0. I go 9 units to the right. minus 12 means I go back 12 spaces to negative 3 is the answer. How can I rewrite this as an additive expression? Add the opposite, keep, add it. Opposite of 12 is negative 12. 9 plus negative 12 is negative 3. So 0, I go 4 units to the left, negative 4. Minus 2, I need to go 2 units to the left. So the answer is negative 6. How can I rewrite this as an additive expression? Negative 4. Add opposite of 2 is negative 2. Negative 4 plus negative 2 is negative 6. Next example, 0. 0. 6 unit to the right. Minus negative 2. What's the opposite of negative 2? 2. So I go 2 units to the right. So it stops at 8. The answer is 8. 6 minus negative 2 is 8. What if I want to rewrite this as an additive expression? Keep it, add it. Opposite negative 2 is 2. 6 plus 2 is 8. And let's try our last two examples. So, 0, I go to negative 1. What's the minus negative 7? Opposite of negative 7 is positive. So I go 7 units to the right. So it stops at 6. What if I want to rewrite this as an additive expression? Keep it, add it. Opposite of negative 7 is 7. Negative 1 plus 7 is equal to 6. And last example, 0, go to 2 units to the right. Minus negative 6. What's the opposite of negative 6? Positive 6. So it goes 6 unit. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I stop at 8. So the answer is 8. What if I want to rewrite this as an additive expression? Keep it, add it. Opposite of negative 6 is 6. 2 plus 6 is 8. So here, there's a whole slur of rewriting all of these subtraction expression into an added expression. So very important that we practice this. So keep it, add it, and what's the opposite of negative 6? 6. 20 plus 6 equals 26. Next one, negative 1 minus 17. How do I rewrite this as an additive expression? So I keep it, add it. What's the opposite of 17? Negative 17. So negative 1 plus negative 17. That's a whole lot of negatives. Any zero pair? No. Negative 18. Next one, keep it, add it. What's the opposite of negative 21? 21. So that will be equal to, I have more positives. How many more positives? 18 positives. Negative 22 minus negative 2. What is that? How do I rewrite this as an additive expression? So let's see. Keep it, add it. What's the opposite of negative 2? 2. So negative 22 plus 2. Do I have more negatives? How many more negatives do I have? I have 20 more negatives. Negative 22 plus 2 equals negative 20. Next one. Negative 7 minus 7. So keep it, add it. Opposite of 7 is negative 7. So what's negative 7 plus negative 7? That's a lot of negatives to draw. Do you want me to draw 7 negatives and draw 7 more negatives? I'm not, but I need zero pairs? Nope. That's going to be 14 negatives. Negative 10 minus 4. I keep it, add it. Opposite of 4 is negative 4. So what is negative 10 plus negative 4? Equals negative 14. Next one, negative 6 minus negative 2. I have 6 negatives. I take away 2 negatives. I'm left with 4 negatives. Let's rewrite it as an addition expression and check our work. I keep it, add it. What's opposite of negative 2? 2. So 6 negatives plus 2 positive equals negative 4. And last but not least, negative 5 minus negative 5. We have 5 negatives. I need to take away those 5 negatives away. I think there'll be 0. but using the additive expression. So I keep the -5, add it. What's the opposite of -5? 5. -5 plus 5 equals 0. So hopefully, by the end of this, you realize that you can rewrite a subtraction expression into an additive expression um, by adding the opposite. So you keep the first number, you added the opposite. From the number lines, you can see it. You can see how the subtraction expression looks like the added expression in the number line. Let's try one word problem. In the North Pole, the temperature was negative 33 degrees in the morning, cold, bitterly cold. In the South Pole, the temperature was only negative 10 degrees. Find the difference between the two temperatures. Well, I know it's going to be really cold. So find the difference using my thing. So negative 30 degrees in the North Pole. Difference means subtract. And South Pole is negative 10. So I could draw a picture. I might draw a number line in a few seconds. So I'm going to rewrite this as a additive expression. Keep it, add it. What's opposite? Negative 10, 10. So negative 30 plus 10. What do you have more? I have more negatives by 20. So it's negative 20. The difference in temperature is negative 20 degrees. In a number line, I guess I will draw a number line. Didn't want to, but if I draw a number line, so I start at 0. Actually, I'm going to do a vertical number line. So I start at 0. So I go to negative 30 degrees. Now it says I need to subtract negative 10. That's the opposite. What's the opposite of negative 10? Positive. So I'll go 10 degrees up. And where am I at? Negative 20. I swear. Sorry. This should be a negative 20. And that is the answer to this. This is how to subtract integers, part 2.